Your talk shop broadcasting live from Studio 255 in the Laramie Plains Civic Center. In studio guests this morning, Mark Armstrong. Mark Armstrong and myself, Eric Henderson, on the talk shop. This is your opportunity to call in. 307-460-3087, the number for Studio 255 Live, and email RadioWorks@mail.com. That's RadioWorks@mail.com. It's a chilly morning out there, everybody, and if you are out and about, you know that. If you aren't, get up early because there's a little bit of frost on the ground, and you're going to need a little more time getting safely to and from where you're going. Our weather report coming in throughout this from the Wyoming Department of Transportation on road conditions available at wyoroad.info. That's wyoroads.info. Mark, good morning.
Good morning, Eric. How are you?
It's great to have you in studio. You've been busy. You've been very busy, sir. Very busy. Skiing,
Cancooning, catching marlin.
Got married. Congratulations.
You were at the wedding. Thank you for
I
that.
know. You're welcome. You're welcome. I was glad to share such a shining event and the mountains. What a delightful place. Brooklyn Lake, just in the
Albans
distance.
Chapel, by the Episcopal Church's chapel on the mountain. It's a beautiful place and beautiful woman. Couldn't be happier with her. We spent 60 days in Cabo San Lucas Medical. Played around
shout
a lot.
out to Sandy. Sandy, good morning to you as well.
What a lovely lady she is.
You've been able to watch some of the events since November elections. What where do you sit today as you watch the President-elect Trump, President Trump's 47th cabinet selections and the hearings going on for each one of those nominees? Where sum it all up from your perspective, if you would.
I'm hopeful. I'm also, I knew the deep state, as some of us call it, the elite cabal, were heavy in D.C. And I think it's time to flush the toilet and drain the sewer. And
doesn't it seem if regardless of where you stand in politics, doesn't it seem that representation doesn't it's not so inclusive today? It doesn't seem to
from top
nobody's
to bottom.
happy. Nobody's happy when in 4 years of one president's term going into the beginning of another's term, nobody's happy. There's not American happiness overall.
I don't think you can find happiness in politics. I think it's they call it the swamp. I call it the sewer. I think we need to flush the toilet often, get rid of them.
I saw. I don't know where it was, but I saw the back of a horse trailer. In the back of the horse trailer, something to the effect of the bottom of this horse trailer is filled with the same as Washington, and I don't know if your feelings are that way, but certainly not an easy thing to do public service.
And the entrenched bureaucrats, from there to people who take their jobs seriously working for the government, it's such a spectrum. And how do you weed out the chaff and keep the wheat? And as you know, I rely on my faith a lot. And Mark 10:44 gives us direction in who we should vote for. And that is, if you're going to be a chieftain, you're going to be a slave to the people. I don't see that in our representatives today. They do what benefits them and not what benefits the people. So if we could get back to some biblical wisdom and start electing people.
Isn't the safe harbor that just you're not going to make everybody happy? So they are doing for the people. They're just not necessarily doing for all the people the way that you or I might think that they should.
Okay, you can say that. Then why do they come out of office billionaires and millionaires? Because that...
Not all of them do. Actually, President Trump, the source,
lost money.
Not backed up by my own research, but I saw each of the presidents and their worth prior and their worth after office gained, at least numerically. I don't know if it outpaced inflation necessarily, but when they double millions, they're outpacing inflation. And
Trump lost money.
Trump decreased in that.
He did, and
not a lot of coverage on that though. Not a lot of coverage on that.
That's your side of the mic, not my side of the mic.
To me it bears mention because I think fair and balanced is a great goal, but I just haven't witnessed it. People could argue. I mean, if I put a chalkboard up, in this old mathematics studio, and I was to put a tick mark on the issues that I've done time with on the radio or broadcasting, I don't know how balanced mine would be. But the offer is absolutely comprehensively open. There's absolutely no one.
And I think dialogue is so important to bring the country back together. I'm a small government libertarian in the Republican Party, and I want less government. And some people don't like the idea of having to fend for themselves, kind of deal. So I do.
Summary of 2024 from Mark Armstrong. For those that don't know Mark Armstrong, another question I'm going to ask following your summary of 2024 is nuclear power in the state of Wyoming. But first, a little bit about your background, Mark. You have experience with every landfill in the state of Wyoming at one point in time. Is that correct?
Yeah, and some of them
science of it,
and some of them leak into a blue ribbon trout stream, and they shouldn't be permitted. And so, 2024 was an interesting year. Politics being politics, I think we made some headways with Trump getting back in office, and I think the campaign trail with Joe Biden and Kamala, what a nightmare that was to lift up that curtain a little bit and see how bad a shape Joe's in, and thinking he is the leader of the free world. So that he's a puppet, and he is being managed by people, and that's the elite cabal. And that, and Liz Cheney siding with Kamala Harris was very disappointing. I used to be a Liz Cheney fan and voted to abstain from her censure. So it's...
Why did you abstain?
Because
on
in
what
Albany
ground did you
County
abstain?
didn't have the authority. If you're not a member of a body under Robert's Rules of Order, that body has no authority over you. State we had the right to censure her. The Albany County Republican Party, where that started, she's not a member of the body. So you have no authority over her.
So yours was procedural.
Yeah, and
Procedural
it would be
abstention.
like me going to the fire district and censuring you. You're not a member of that body, and you wouldn't even know about it. And so I found it a little ridiculous and sideways. So, but
So 2024 aside.
yeah, not yet. Just
No?
personally, huge for me getting married. You know, and having my son here, and all sorts of good things are going on in my world. Going to do a lot of skiing this year in 2025. Did some in 2024. Caught some big fish in 2024. Biggest fish I've ever caught, 9.5 foot marlin. And, just
How long did it take you to pull that in?
an hour. Now, the 15-foot record this year, the black and blue tournament, took him 10 hours to reel him in.
Wow.
And so it's...
So you're focusing on some good things.
Yeah,
You've got a lot of positive happening in 2024
my life's
for
good.
you.
It's always, God has always taken good care of me. I do some things that I think are the right thing to do. I try to follow his lead and do the right thing, and sometimes that gets me in trouble in this world. So
your time in Laramie, Wyoming, Albany County, Wyoming. How long you been in Albany County?
Well, I was born here.
All right.
I haven't lived here my whole life. My mom was born here. My grandmother was born here. My grandmother's parents had a furniture store here, but they started by delivering ice and coal in Laramie. And my grandfather's father was the first coach at the University of Wyoming. So I have a long family history here. And I married a woman whose aunt was Betty Prawl. She was the clerk for Albany County. So I had some insight into the, politics here for a while. And Albany County is interesting with the university and the rest of the players in this arena. But I think I went to school mainly in Colorado, went to Colorado School of Mines, came back to the University of Wyoming after working the oil fields, latch and pipe because there was no jobs out there when I got out of school. Enjoyed the heck out of that stuff. Hard work, good hard working man. A little too much drinking, but that's changed in the oil field. They do camp jobs now instead of driving home, and you put 5 guys in a car after a hard day's work, where are they going to end up? They're going to end up at a bar every day.
Yeah.
So, but, I learned a lot of good stuff out there, how to fix anything and how to work hard and enjoy blue-collar men and women who work for a living and not lawyers and politicians.
It's your experience in waste disposal and waste management systems that brings me to my next question, and that is nuclear power coming to the state of Wyoming. And when you bring nuclear power, you have nuclear waste, and along with waste, is it safe and reasonable for Wyoming to bring? Is it in our best interest to bring that into Wyoming from your perspective? And if it, go ahead.
So Rocky Flats was a nuclear production facility for nuclear weapons. My opinion is their mishandling of nuclear waste killed a lot of people, including my mother. If this nuclear plant in Kimmerer, Wyoming, pops, it pollutes the entire Colorado drainage. And the economic damage from that would be huge. I've worked on the trona mines over there doing salt studies to keep the salt out of the Colorado River. Part of my professional experiences, I wrote the responses to comments for EPA for Yucca Mountain. They should open Yucca Mountain up and let us use it as designed and put our nuclear waste there. I testified at the Minerals Committee. I didn't testify, went up and talked to him. And Dr. Boyle was there. He and I know each other. He was a proponent to store nuclear waste above ground in transportation casks in the gas hills. That was Senator Bebout and others that are still on the Minerals Committee. I don't think they understand the human risk to nuclear waste. You die of cancer, a slow or quick, ugly death, if you inhale it. They say, well, you can't break these casks open. New York, they just received one that was empty and damaged. So they lost that rod, that nuclear waste, out of a transportation cask. I am a proponent and fan of fusion energy. I see lots of headway in that arena these days. So not uranium to plutonium. Plutonium's half-life is 15,000 years. Hydrogen to helium. It's the source of the sun, and I think we can engineer and control it and produce power with it, and we'll get there. And trying to do some stuff personally with that now. So,
if you're just joining us, this is the Talk Shop in Studio 255 at the Laramie Plains Civic Center. Our show this morning brought to you in part by Chanos Village, the Bed and Rusty, Perkins Restaurant and Bakery, the Chocolate Cellar, and Range Community Insurance. Just ahead, in addition to nuclear power, I guess some of the comments that I've heard is if nuclear power is so good for Wyoming, let the waste be stored in Old Faithful, in Yellowstone National Park, right there.
Horrible idea.
And give a glow to the environment, and people will come from all around the world to see it. Now that sounds ridiculous, but
it is ridiculous.
There's certainly reason to give greater consideration to this potential impact on Wyoming, isn't there?
So I'm curious about the players in this. Why did Bill Gates, he's a billionaire, multi-billionaire, had dinner with Trump, World Health Organization funder, has wanted, it's publicly said we should have less population. Why is the state of Wyoming giving him $2 million to and leave from the permitting process? Basically, you don't permit a nuclear facility in a year. Yet the state of Wyoming pushed that through. I don't like seeing the politics that are being played and the risks associated with that. we have nuclear subs out there. We have nuclear reactors out there, very safe. And but the players in the arena, a guy that I don't think he has a college degree, Bill Gates, getting a permit to do a nuclear. You talk to the people in Green River, they don't like the idea. You talk to the people in Kimmer, they want the money. I say mine coal, folks. So,
what's the future of Governor Gordon following his finish of his gubernatorial term? What do you see on the horizon? Some have said energy will be one of those future places where he consults. Is this a lead into that?
Possibly, I'm not sure. Mark and I disagree about CO2 and climate variance. CO2 is not the driving force between climate and change. Science, and he gets angry when you tell him that. And $40 million for sequestration of carbon is from federal money is a bribe to damage coal production. Why we didn't sue the Millennial Terminal in Oregon because they violated our Commerce Clause rights is negligence, and I still say we have standing there, and it's what has driven this state forever is coal, oil, and gas. And when the price of oil is at $90 a barrel or $100 a barrel, we ought to have 100 rigs running in this state. We got 10 last I looked, and that means there are 90 rigs sitting down, and that's 100 families per rig, basically, not working. And, I like Trump's statement, drill, baby, drill.
A lot of people have given a lot of attention to Trump's statement, drill, baby, drill, but it does have an impact. And was there as much attention given to 11,000 jobs signed off at the beginning of President Biden's first day in office? It doesn't seem so.
Unless you're that family.
Yeah. Fair enough. The elections are just one way that the American people can speak and be heard. The talk shop, the microphone, exists as one small piece of America's opportunity to voice that opinion. I appreciate you joining us here on the talk shop. Each and every member of our community invited to the talk shop. RadioWorks at mail.com, the email to schedule your appearance and give us an idea of where we're going in our conversation. Come to the microphone, join the conversation. 307-460-3087, our phone number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Summarize the election in Albany County with respect to your view. You served as an election judge in Albany County, and how long have you served as an election judge?
I think this is my third time as an election judge.
What drives you to do it? Why have you gotten involved with it? What drives you? What motivates you to be a part of the election process?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. Some days it's a lot of pain. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of
it's a paid position.
Yeah, I make for a 12-hour day. I made $100.
Okay.
And so I really don't, with the classes and everything else, I don't think you make minimum wage, but it's a way to say
civic
thanks.
duty, civic duty, part of it.
Yeah, so, and it's also important that people understand that. Am I going to say that? Yeah, I'm going to say this. People will cheat if you don't watch them, and
Or you might like to know that they're not cheating.
yeah, I would
you
like
might,
to know
You might
that.
like to comfort yourself that that's not the case, right? I mean, sometimes you judge to prove, sometimes you judge to prevent. Regardless of
Sometimes you
intentions.
get assaulted and thrown out of the election room because you want to hold people accountable. So
Well, you're an active member of Albany County in the political scene, and you have you filed an affidavit,
I did.
and that was an affidavit of concern with respect to witnessed events of the election in 2024 for the primary.
Right.
And the primary results in Albany County. Do you believe that the results were accurate overall?
Maybe not.
What you did have concern about? Why don't you give us the synopsis of your affidavit?
The synopsis of my affidavit is Sharon Cumby was in the absentee ballot counting room, which is a polling place, and that violates. I had the wrong law when I filed the affidavit. It's actually Secretary of State's rules, I believe Chapter 13, 2B. And it's also spelled out in the acceptance of position. And if you want to read it, or I'll read it.
Yeah,
How about that last sentence?
I'll read it. Acceptance of appointment, and this is on Kayla White, Albany County Clerk letterhead. I hereby accept appointment by the Albany County Clerk to serve as an election official for a 2-year term. I understand that my term will begin July 1, 2024. My attendance at a judge's school is required prior to each election for which I am selected to serve. I cannot serve as a judge of an election at a polling place where my name appears on the ballot, and I may be asked to serve as an alternate or at a polling place other than where I normally vote. And this particular doc is signed Sharon Cumby and dated. I don't see the date, but
there's a note at the bottom.
The note at the bottom says I worked primary and general 2022 election as an absentee judge. Excuse me, and not returning this form by May 24, 2024 will result in not being assigned to work in the 2024 election cycle. So that document is your basis for, you signed something similar to this,
I did.
right? Identical to this, right? And in that you're most concerned in that you observed what with respect to Cumby, and incidentally, in 2024 through the what was said to be the investigation of this affidavit and concern, Sharon Cumby was invited and did respond to my invitation to join the conversation with the talk shop on as I would make every right, and I extend that invitation again now that the matter continues. I'll continue to open that invitation, make that invitation available to all parties: Kayla White, Sharon Cumby, Aaron Appelhans, anybody who has involvement in the investigation whatsoever. And in that, I believe communication is absolutely powerful. And you indicated that you had error in your citation for
I did.
the basis for your claim, right?
Well, I did.
But this clarifies, in your view, this clarifies
That Sharon, well, I
what
also
the
have an
problem was.
email from Kayla saying that Sharon's going to be in the absentee ballot counting room, which is a polling place. And it's called a polling place in the email. So what I saw was the seals on the machines were broken. They admit that. I also saw, so we calibrated the machine on the 18th of August, I believe. And then those ballots, the early ballots, were run through that machine and then taken out of that machine and run some ballot will run through another machine. And I don't understand why they did that. They blame it on calibration. Well, we calibrated that machine on the 18th before the early votes. So I asked for the video.
And you requested the video in order to do what?
Eyes and ears of what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Verify what you thought you saw?
Yeah.
What you did see?
And I believe I asked to take pictures, and that should be on that video. I haven't got the video yet, but I do have a court order.
So you were denied that opportunity,
right?
Public record.
So it took me 2 years to get the absentee ballot video. We had people setting up video on their own to watch the drop box. So I didn't need that. But I do need to, for my own and I think the people's comfort, to be able to see what happened in that room, because it was unusual. It wasn't standard operating procedures. They started at 4 a.m. I want to see the whole video that whole day. I asked for it. I was denied. I got the
what grounds were you denied?
Security of the building.
If somebody had access to that, they would see weaknesses in the building, and that would risk future security?
Yet I can walk around in that building during elections all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And
was your attorney allowed?
No.
That
my attorney
access
was not allowed. So
they're
an officer of the court.
They're a member of the court, right?
Right, an officer of the court.
Right.
Right.
So in your October 8th claim,
mm-hmm.
what's resulted? What's resulted? I see.
Final. This is a 5-page order from the court. It says, last sentence.
And this is dated, filed January 21st, 2025. So
yes,
just recent.
Yeah.
Okay.
A couple days ago.
Couple days.
Got this from my attorney. Went to Kayla's office yesterday to tell her I want the video now, and they have the right to appeal this and waste more money of the people's money. But it is therefore ordered, this is the last sentence in the order, it is therefore ordered that defendant provide plaintiff with a copy of the requested record upon receipt of this order. Well, I'm in receipt of the order, so is she. I want the video. And it also says, end of first paragraph, the defendant, that would be Kayla White, in her official capacity for Albany County, erred in denying plaintiff's request. It also goes into numerous pages of why Aaron Appelhans and the idea that this is a
capacity as sheriff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why his analysis was incorrect. And the court has ordered them to give me the video. Now they have the right to appeal it. I also have the right, as stated in the order, to ask for damages, costs, and fees. And hopefully I don't have to sue them for that, because I think I was defamed in the sheriff's order. They would have violated my First Amendment rights if they would have arrested me. I have
Were
the
you
right.
Mirandized?
They tried to Mirandize me. I refused to sign the Miranda statement. Most of the other people that were interrogated regarding this, and I was told they weren't coming after Sharon.
What crime were you charged with before you were Mirandized?
False reporting. And it was to the best of my knowledge. I'm not the lawman.
Right.
I may have misquoted the law, but the law is clear, and the statement on the acceptance of the position is clear. You don't get to be on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some confusion about precinct men and women being on the ballot, but there is a difference between being the mayor of the city, where you control millions of dollars, and being a precinct person. And I think that is recognized in the law and practice.
Do you think going forward, for clarity, both should be prohibited from the involvement in the election judging?
I think they need to change the law, actually. I think
For clarity or what?
To clarify that precinct men and women are, now granted, it's an important position. Don't get me wrong about this, but they don't control public funds. It's a volunteer position, more or less. We have trouble filling those positions, and I think you lose knowledge if you take your precinct men and women out of that. When I talked to the clerks union president, he said, we agree that precinct men, he personally, Malcolm, agrees that precinct men and women should be allowed to be election judges, and because they have expertise in this arena and they're interested and involved. And
for many, it validates their role as a precinct man or woman.
Yeah, to be part of the election, to understand, and it's also, there's the list supplied by the Republican Party, and then there's government employees being election judges. So there's, it's. I guess I'm in for a pound, in for a penny, in for a pound, right? Because this document ran 10 grand ish. I think there's still, my retainer for the attorney was $10,000, and there's still money in that. So if they want to continue to play, we still have funds available to fight their appeal. If they don't want to give it to me after a court order, I find that really repugnant. I went to try to get the video yesterday. Kayla wasn't there. She's over in Cheyenne. I'll go after this over to Kayla's and see if I can get it today, or schedule a time when I can get it. Mm-hmm. And this is not, I'm going to sit in a room somewhere and have her watch me over. Do you
go with your attorney, or you go solo, or
I go solo. I'm not afraid of what I do. I am, I'm an American. I'm not a communist. I'm an American. This is a free country. Last I knew, and I have the right to petition my government. And I have went over and talked to those offices yesterday. So I'm, hopefully this is still America. Hopefully we still have some of those constitutional rights that I so dearly love.
I want to visit just briefly. One of the things I witnessed, I was in City Hall when you went to a city council meeting, and it was after you'd filed the affidavit, and you attempted to call the question, essentially, to the nine-member city council body with respect to this concern. And Sharon Cumby's involvement that you witnessed. And inside 30 seconds, you were shut down by Mayor Harrington, Brian Harrington at the time, as it was not germane to the city council's business. Well, as a city council member was involved, I found that very interesting. Can't say that I agree with that assessment, and I'm always, I always want to be respectful, but I don't like games, and I really don't appreciate people not, the public is not necessarily familiar with all of the formalities that people call the city council chamber and that protocol and the etiquette, and I don't believe it's reasonable that if 100 citizens visit, that 100 citizens, or even one, would be expected to do it perfectly. Every transition of city council or any political body takes education, takes awareness. People got to learn the protocols and the procedures. And Sharon Cumby was and is now a city council member. She was a member of the council when you made the claim. She was definitely involved with the elections in Albany County.
And don't parse words with me. Don't say, "Oh, that's the absentee ballot counting room." Stalin was pretty clear on this. Doesn't matter who you vote for, it matters who counts the votes. And when somebody that's on the ballot doesn't just observe what's going on, but handles ballots,
it seems that would be
troubling.
Seems that would be more concerning than having a political sign within 100 yards of the polling places.
Well, electioneering is electioneering, and this is a violation of law. So is electioneering, but and what's most disturbing about it, when I filed my affidavit, it was the best of my knowledge. Mm-hmm. It was truthful. Sandy Reese filed a very similar affidavit saying the same thing I saw. Yet I get exposed to being arrested for filing, see something, say something. Well, I say something and I go to jail? Well, that's January 6th stuff, isn't it? Or worse, because no violence here. I just try to file an affidavit. Mm-hmm. And then I have to go to court to get information, and transparency, open, honest government is so important to the taxpayer. We're overtaxed. We're underserved by the government. And I think if they were more efficient, more effective, and more transparent, and friendlier too, sometimes, they would serve the people better. You don't get to go to a city council meeting and then get a parking ticket for parking in your front yard, in front of your house. That kind of stuff needs to stop. So,
with respect to the process, are you glad you filed? Are you glad you participated in the elections? Are you proud to be an American?
I am proud to be an American. Absolutely. We all won the lottery when we got here. When we were born here, we won the lottery. But was it Franklin or was it Jefferson that said, "We gave you a republic if you can keep it"? And if we don't hold elected officials and bureaucrats, I find bureaucrats as repugnant that don't serve the people friendly. That's their job, is to serve the people. They steal our freedom. I've worked for the government. I've seen the inside of the beast, and it is not a nice place. there are people there that don't want to work and don't work, and there are people there that use their position to
bully
people. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and that's not right.
I saw through 2024. I saw the Veterans Administration Hospital in Las Vegas. I saw the Veterans Administration Hospital in Dallas, Texas. I've frequented the Veterans Administration Hospital in Cheyenne, Sheridan. Each of them very unique. Each of them distinctly similar and distinctly different in tone, in manner, and in way. And I'm sure that the human component of each one of those hospitals through personnel highlighted even more so, than any other factor. But Cheyenne is lucky in some respects, but not all. Facility-wise, some other facilities were far and away greater advantage than we had in Cheyenne. The Denver VA, the VA hospital in Denver,
took my dad to the VA hospital in Denver once or twice a week before he died.
Mm-hmm.
And diabetes and some other issues, and I found the one in Denver pretty good, but I'm going to tell you, we got to treat our vets better. We got a million of them on the street.
I sure wish that I could say that there was no question that wasn't. I didn't agree with you.
Oh.
I absolutely agree with you. I think we must we got to not only treat our veterans better, but we need to treat each other better.
Oh, absolutely.
The fact that it concerns me that your Miranda, the Miranda rights were attempted to be served to you as a citizen that was doing what you're called to do as an election judge. If you see something, I have questions that I would love to ask of involved parties, but not everybody comes forward.
Come sit.
No, not everybody comes to the microphone. Not everybody is willing to even speak off air about.
If I hadn't brought my
topics.
attorney with me, I probably would have got up and said, you're just here to harass me. You don't want my information, and walked out. And then I would have been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
But because I brought an attorney with me, we said, I'm not being detained. I'm not true, you can investigate me without Miranda rights. I'm not being charged with a crime. I'm not being detained. Therefore, I will not sign a Miranda statement. But, I talked to other people that went to these interview/interrogations, and they absolutely came back reporting that they were looking to charge me. And that's what the sheriff's report came up with. So
be tuned in. Next week we talk about preemptive pardons in America, and the talk shop continues with your participation. Our number 460-3087. That's 307-460-3087. And RadioWorks at mail.com, your email opportunity to contact us. If you are so inclined, please do so. I want to give you some highlights to events in Laramie. Those glorious Washington Park Winter Lights, part of the Winter Light Festival, presented by Tough Guys Landscaping and Lighting. Dynamite job, guys. Welpers, wonderful work. And all of the associated businesses and organizations that collaborated to bring that delightful experience to Washington Park. Way to go. Couldn't be more glorious in bringing smiles to young and old. And then Laramie Winterfest, February 15th and 16th, just ahead. And if you're interested in more activity, why not laugh it up? Laramie Laughs for a Cause on February 21st at the Alice Hardy Stevens Center, as Seroptimus International of Laramie delights the crowd with Mary Ellen DiPetrio in headlining that glorious evening. That'll be tickets available for that at seroptimistoflaramie.org. And Mark, we always like to give the last word to our guests. You might not have been asked every question. I give you this time. What should have I asked that I didn't ask regarding your visit this morning?
I just want everybody to get out and enjoy the winter, or go skiing, go snowshoeing, get out, take a walk, get out in God's world, and let's elect people that will be our servants in 2026. And we got a lot of people on the ballot. Let's make sure that your vote counts, that Stalin is wrong, that your vote counts, and it doesn't matter who counts them, because it's a fair election, and that's what we're looking for.
Mark Armstrong and Eric Henderson this morning on The Talk Shop.